Hi, David. How you doing? Got your work up here, and I want to start talking about your logo, your final development, and some of your placement images, and the actual branding and the development of your Fifth Element branding, etc. So, okay, so the final logo I think looks good. It's much superior to the one with all the gradients and that ascender that came up very high. I think this is a condensed version, much better, much more versatile, and it's more accepting in terms of visual, um, its visual demeanor. One thing I would recommend, however, is that I think the mark itself is too large and too wide for the actual the type that it's associated with. And the reason I say that is because right now you've got this kind of phantom rectangle around the mark itself, and it kind of impedes the versatility of the logo, and it also kind of eliminates the activation of negative space, which can be done in a very fascinating way. Let me show you what I mean. What I would recommend is reducing the size of this mark itself to about something like that. And what that's going to do is that's going to activate the negative space in the surrounding area around the logo here, 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 and here. And it's also going to really do a nice job activating this negative space around the typography and its relationship to the logo itself. Try it. I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to find it's going to be a much more versatile in terms of placement. The logo on the background looks good. This I guess, is your Fifth Element um, graphics back here. That's kind of like crystallized ice. So that's pretty cool there. And then you've got the white on the black version, but I'm not seeing that. I mean, you've got your white version here, so you don't have to show the white on the black. Plus, this seems like it's a little bit distorted. See the rings here have become distorted. They're not circular like they're up here. They're almost ovals. Okay, moving forward, you got your this is the development of your horizontal logo, and I think that's smart in applications and areas where you need to use a more horizontal version of your branding. Problem I'm seeing here is that this area right here is really, really creating a lot of visual tension. Reason being is because you've got the hills or the mountains in the background of the bay, then you got the city in the foreground of the bay. So that's a nice relationship there. But the mountains extend beyond the city and almost encroach on the logo. So this is really an ambiguous area right here. What I would recommend here is removing the logo and just using this as this portion of your graphics. To really tie this into your logo, I would swap that color blue out for that blue that you use in your logo. That'll create some wonderful consistency and harmony in the variations of the logo, both the horizontal and the regular logo. Pictograms look great. I think the curling looks good. One thing I would recommend in the pictograms is you still have two kind of odd men out in the pictograms. And I'm talking about the biathlon and the ice hockey. And the reason I say that is because they're the only ones that aren't featuring a figure in some sort of human figure in the activities. So that is impeding your consistency. So I would definitely recommend. As this is great. I mean, it's really much more clear as to what this is representing than that other first version of the curling pictogram. I think this guy's head is really big compared to some of the other heads of the other characters. So you might want to make that a little and more consistent. Again, I would definitely include the characters or the little caricatures in the pictographs for biathlon and ice hockey. These highway signs are a little bit ambiguous. I think that they're not really, they don't really serve much of a purpose. I mean, you're saying that Reykjavik A is that way, 49 kilometers, and then you put the pictogram there. So, and a highway sign, this pictogram is so small, it wouldn't be visible at 60 miles an hour. So it's kind of counterintuitive there. This is a little bit more what the pictograms, I mean, if you're going to use pictograms for wayfinding, you would have to indicate where the figure skating stadium would be. If I were a pedestrian and I were walking here, I'd look up, I see the pictogram for figure skating. It would indicate that, it's not just showing the pictogram for the sake of showing it. It should be used as wayfinding. I hope that makes sense. Pictograms should always be viewed in a utilitarian way, as opposed to just showing them like you have done here and here for the curling. This piece is really super confusing because you've got this blurred out it's obstructed by this athlete right here, and it's just really difficult to ascertain what you're trying to say with this image here. I know you say it's recognizable when blurred in the background, but I have to disagree. I just think that that's something that I would use a different placement image here to really reinforce your branding instead of using this giant image here and then this tiny little placement there. Okay, this looks good. I think this is interesting the way that you've created this for the television graphics, showing the Olympic logo as well as the event. Again, there's that logo though, the pictogram without the caricatures in it. And then this is a good example of what I was talking about. This area right here is really, really ambiguous. So I would go ahead and recommend, as I said before, to just create a nice horizontal logo there. This placement here looks really good. And this, again, is really, really super small. It's not reinforcing any branding because it's not recognizable at this. I don't think the image itself is very suitable to reinforce your branding, and a lot of your images aren't. I think this one is not a suitable image to reinforce branding. I don't think this one is either. And even this image right here, if we zoom in right here, David, if we zoom in really close, we can see that's a low-res image. Very, very damaged, very pixelated. I would recommend using high-res images for all of your placement shots. Tickets look very good. I'm not real sure what this says. This is front of the individual ticket and back of both types of tickets. That's kind of ambiguous. I'm not real sure what that refers to right there. This is a good idea. The poster, it's like the souvenir poster with all the tickets assembled. But the thing is you're saying this is your final ticket, but that's not represented in your fully assembled collectible ticket sheet. So that's ambiguous as well. A little bit of inconsistency there. T-shirts are really, really busy. I think this one looks good, but every one of the others has such a really busy background that this one you can't even really see the logo. So I recommend cleaning those up. And then finally, this piece right here, I would recommend not using this piece right here because you're showing this really distressed versions of your work and your branding work. So right now you're trying to reinforce your branding, but by showing these really distressed and damaged versions of your branding and your pictograms, I think it's counterintuitive. Okay, so there's where I am at. I think you're doing a good job, much more streamlined than we were before, but we still have some work to go. Now, don't forget to take a look at some, just for inspiration, some of the placement shots here where these are really, really reinforcing the branding because they're big, they're front, they're center, and they're very, very consistent. So think about that, think about placement and really reinforcing your branding in a lot of your areas where the viewer is concentrating on two things. The logo presentations, I'm sorry, four things. The logo presentations, the typography, the word marks, and the fifth element. Okay? Any questions at all, David, please feel free to let me know. I'll be glad to clarify. Thank you.